Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be just working on 3 key stretches for opening the hips. So working on greater and deeper flexibility within the hips, as well as greater mobility and just releasing any blockages that might be stored there. It's such a great way to move into your day, releasing that tension, stretching deep into the hips. It's a beautiful release. So I wanted to share my 3 favorite hip opening postures. Let's get started. We're going to get started in our downward facing dog to move into lizard pose. So from downward facing dog, coming towards lizard pose, going to start by inhaling your right foot and stepping it outside of the right hand, right at the edge of the mat. From there, gently lower your left knee down and bring the top of the foot down onto the mat as well. You can either let the knee draw in towards your shoulder, keeping your foot planted flat, or maybe you let your foot fall to the razor edge of your foot, the knee kind of falls open. Just decide what feels better for you. And then staying up on your palms, maybe relax your shoulders and just start to notice that nice hip opening, breathing into your hips. Maybe sending nourishing inhales to that space. And then decide if you have a little bit more room, starting with your inside arm, that will be the side that's more intense. Gently start to lower down, maybe onto your forearms. If you're somewhere in between forearms and up on your palms, you can also take your arms either onto a yoga block or a stack of books. And then make sure you let your head relax down and breathe into that hip space. If you want even a little bit more fire and intensity, you can curl through your back toes and lift your back knee. Make sure that left leg stays extending right out behind you, not too wide, not too much to center. And stay here for at least 5 breaths. The second posture would be pigeon pose. So sleeping pigeon, super deep, intense. Wonderful hip opening. So from here, you could move right into pigeon. And what you would do is curl through back toes, lift back knee while up on your palms, kind of puff into the shoulders, and then draw that right foot to the left side of the mat, and your right knee comes just about to your right wrist. Check in again that that left leg is extending right out behind you. Maybe curl through back toes and lengthen a bit here. And then often we hear that the leg has to be parallel to the front of the mat, but your foot might come a little closer to your hip if your hips are a little tighter, and that's totally fine. Just keep your right toes flexed to protect your knee. Stay up on your fingertips. If you feel like your hips are really high and you're not quite on the mat, you can also choose a block or something to kind of just take right beneath your seat. Give your hips a little elevation and eventually work your way deeper, maybe with smaller blocks or a lower stack of books. So from here, take a big inhale, lift your heart, and on an exhale, slowly start to melt forward, reaching out long, and relax on down. Again, staying for about 5 breaths. To come out of the pose, simply walk your hands back up, curl through back toes, lift back knee, and I like to move through 3-legged dog just to shake out the hip a bit. Awesome. Next, we're going to come into the 3rd hip opening, beautiful stretch. So from here, just start to walk your hands forward to the top of the mat, and then heel toe your feet about as wide as the mat. So your heels are slightly on, toes slightly off, yogi squat. And then start to sink your hips down. Bring your triceps, the insides of the tops of your arms, into your inner thighs, and then start to draw your hands down to lift your heart, pressing into your thighs, and then kind of squeeze your arms with your thighs, sitting nice and low. If you feel like your hips are a little higher, that's totally fine. Just make sure your heels are flat to the mat. Maybe you come into a bit of a wider stance to start, and then slowly start to bring your feet a little closer. And of course, if you're taller, your feet will be wider than the mat. And again, breathing into the hips for about 5 breaths. If you want a little bit more restorative, a little bit more support, you can also take a block here. It has a nice little seat. So you kind of decide what makes sense for you. And you still get that nice stretch as long as you're drawing the hands down, opening, lifting the heart. Ah, awesome. And to come out, you kind of just reach your fingertips back. Remove the block if you chose to use one. Sit back, give the legs a little windshield wiper. And a final bonus posture for the hips. If you'd like a final rest after you're done with your more intense stretches, recline butterfly. Soles of the feet together, knees fall open to the side, and just melt on in. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed these 3 postures as much as I do. If you want to stay tuned for more free yoga, you can subscribe to my channel and maybe give a thumbs up below. I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.